Hi Jackie, this is Fancy, and I'm looking at your design, and you've made big improvements since your first post and even since your last assignments. So my questions are you using points of emphasis? And we need at least 3 steps, which I can see that each section would have at least 3 steps. This would be the lightest step, kind of in the middle, and this next concentric square would be the medium values, and this outside concentric square would be the darkest values. Um, but then again, you're not using the darkest values first. So maybe because you want to make your transparency using kind of closer to the middle values, I can see why this outside one is not using darker values. So then you have to think about where you would want to use your values. Your darkest values, maybe these are the middle values, and then as you move toward the center, maybe it becomes darker. So you could think about that instead of lighter. So it's moving from darker to light, and then maybe you want to move from middle to darker. And then you would have to figure out, where you would put your lightest values. So I'm not sure if this is 7 by 9. It looks a little bit wider than a 7 by 9 would look. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, it is 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it looks like it's a little shorter than it needs to be. Also, you want to make sure that each of your hue families are, adequately represented. So maybe your plan is to kind of shift the whole design to the left so you get more of this here. As Linda said, you do want to avoid a pattern orientation. So many things to think about. So points of emphasis that might move from middle values to darker values, and thinking about where to put in your lightest values. And again, I mean, you can move to lighter from middle to lighter, then you just have to think about where to put your darker values. Let's see, what else? You also have to think about, visual interest. If you have this composition that's divided up what appears to be equally, whether they are equal through their actual size or through an implied size, because this is implied. We imply it to be the same size as this, even though it's going off the page. We have to think about visual interest, a secondary strategy that will help lead the eye around. Because if you have it as it is, it's going to be kind of predictable. So once you get kind of the basis of your design, and you've got these gradations, just like you want them, and remember that if you are using a the minimum 3 steps, so minimum is 3. If you're moving across pathways, you want to make sure there are equal value contrast from the center to the middle to the outside concentric square. Right now this one is a higher value contrast than from here to here is a lower value contrast, and from here to here is a higher value contrast. I hope you can see that. This one looks a little bit better, the green. And you also want to watch out for overallness as well. So make sure that the values that you have within each step aren't too high in contrast. The green looks pretty high in contrast. So the middle and the second step, or I'm sorry, the first step and the second step are less so in contrast than this outside one in any of them, I think. All right, I can't wait to see your second iteration. Good job.